makes our video podcast different from others? We ask each guest what they're doing to give back to the world and their local community. Now that they've amassed their wealth, how are they giving back to help others? Additionally, we ask each guest to give our listeners a special gift to help them grow as a person and to influence their business. Welcome to the Roy Snar Show, entrepreneurship and giving back. Now, here's your host, Roy Snar.
Then I took another big leap. We moved out of California for many of reasons, but one of the main reasons I got tired of paying all those taxes because making $240, $250 a year in California, it's not that much money. I mean, I was in a good 50% tax bracket. Housing was expensive. And then we had our first daughter. So my wife and I got married in 2015. This is when I got real serious and focused and created my own general agency, buying all the leads. I had to get my act together. I had somebody to take care of. And in my opinion, and the way I believe is like, hey, it's my job to take care of my spouse. She did work at the time, but then when we had our child, and even today with 3 kids, she's a stay-at-home mom. And that's what she wants. And that's what I'm able to provide to her by helping people, okay? So in 2015, I had to get my act together. I got real serious. And then we had our first daughter, Elsie. I was like, we cannot live in California any longer. I'm going nuts for a whole bunch of reasons. But the other reason was just the simple fact of the cost of living. I didn't want her to grow up in a system down there in California where we're living in a tiny little apartment that we were paying $3,000, $4,000 a month for in rent, when I could translate that and to have way more success in a different state, such as Texas. And I'm naturally a hillbilly growing up. My family lived in the Midwest, Missouri. It's where my dad's side of the family's from. My mom's side is from Arizona and California. So I've always been like a country boy, good old boy. And so Texas just made perfect sense to us. And then the other thing about Texas is that my friend moved out here, who was a part of that real estate agency that the first gentleman at Starbucks introduced me to. So I called him up. I said, hey, how's Texas? Should I move out there? He goes, it's amazing. It's the perfect time to buy, right? Well, real estate agents, it's always the perfect time to buy or sell, right? I said, okay, let me check it out first. So moving the salt and pepper shaker 3 inches is a big deal for my wife. She's a planner. She's very organized, habitual. I'm sporadic. You can blindfold me, drop me in the middle of a city, and I'd have a good time. I'd figure things out. I don't plan anything really when it comes to trips and stuff like that. So I flew out here. And I told my wife about it. I was like, Jessica, this is amazing. You're going to love Texas. She goes, ugh, I don't know. My parents still live up in the mountains, up in Yosemite. Your mom's here. I said, well, move all of us out there. So we, fast forwarding a little bit, we came out to Texas. She actually liked it, which was awesome. Within 30 days, I moved myself, my wife, our first daughter, and my mother all out to Texas. I was able to buy a house for myself and help my mom with her house. Fortunately, we had some assets that we sold, a couple collectible coins that gave us enough down payment for the houses, and we moved out here. Then we got my wife's parents out here about a year later, okay? But when we first moved out here, remember, I already built a little network up. Now, I was still licensed in California, but this was in 2018, so Zoom wasn't that popular for selling insurance products. I picked up and took a huge chance, moved everybody out here. I said, I got to make it work. Most of all the money that we had saved up went all to moving expenses. It's not free to move and things are expensive. So we spent most all that money. So now I'm in Texas, very, very little savings. And I'm like, okay, I don't have any network here. The only person I know is the real estate agent that helped me out. And he was relatively new to Texas. How am I going to make this insurance business work? Well, I went back to the fundamentals. I said, okay, how did I do it in the beginning? Let me just start making phone calls. Let me start buying leads. I ended up maxing out 2 business credit cards, and I bought every single radio station slot that there was. I got onto the radio. I bought online leads, everything. And I was very fortunate to have a great mentor, 2 great mentors in the business. And the most recent one that we're still with today helped me get on the radio and do all these different things and gave me coaching, guidance, advice. So I'm very, very fortunate and blessed for that. But I took a huge chance. And there was a point in time, even in 2018, which is not too long ago, where there was no money in the savings account. The business account was 0. In fact, it actually went negative by $2,000. And all my cards were maxed out. But fortunately, I kept making the phone calls. I had the faith. I had the determination. I knew I could make it work. I got a call back, which is crazy in this business. You get a call back. They said, hey, I am interested in this annuity. Oh, wonderful. How can I help you? I mean, you wouldn't believe how excited I was. Like, yeah, we live 4 hours away. I go, no problem at all. When do you want me to see you? They're like, tomorrow morning. I said, I'm there. Drove out there. We ended up rolling over a significant amount of money from their IRA into a safe money plan with an annuity. That commission totally saved us. It got us out of the hole. We had enough savings now to live off of for like 3 months. And then from there, it just perpetuated itself. I kept making my phone calls. I kept being disciplined. I kept doing all these things. And then now, fast forwarding to today, we've built a 7-figure agency. And I've only been in Texas since 2018. So since 2018, it went from being negative and maxed out credit cards to a 7-figure agency. And the way that we did this, there's no secret to it. We were just very determined and kept doing what we were supposed to do, which is making our phone calls, okay? That's the only thing I could control. I couldn't control if somebody doesn't like me or if they said no or that it wasn't right. I can't control that, right? But what I can control is my output. So I started controlling my output, focusing 100% on doing calls, networking, building an agency, talking to other people, other financial professionals, and we've built this whole arena up. This is some of the stuff that we talk about within the academy here, okay? That's on the other side. Inside of the academy, we share these stories on how you can actually build an agency and build a network, right? And if you're already within a community, you don't have to go out and max out business cards and buy all these leads. You can simply go ahead and start networking with the people that you do know and doing different measures. I didn't have a choice because I took a big chance and moved out here. I didn't have time. I had to buy leads as fast as I possibly could. So that's just a snapshot. There's a lot of other details that go into it. There's other times where I remember driving down to LA. I was crying in the car, listening to Ed Milet, listening to his show and like, how can I make this work? How are these other people so successful? Am I stupid? Like, what is going on? Now, I'm not the smartest person in the room, but I am one of the most determined people. And that's what's led to the success that we have is determination. So no matter what you're in, unless you're going to be a heart surgeon or a brain surgeon or a rocket scientist, you don't have to be the smartest person. You don't have to know everything. You just have to be willing to do more than the other person is willing to do, which is not hard to do in today's world, okay? You know, a lot of people just watch a YouTube or a TikTok video. They're going to build something, they're going to do something. Then they can't figure out why it doesn't work out. Well, it's like, well, how many phone calls did you make? How many people did you meet? How many people did you email? Oh, like 3 or 4 this week. I was doing, at one point, 50 calls a night. And then what I would do is I'd buy an 18-pack of beer and I'd drink the whole 18-pack. And believe me, by the very end of that evening on those phone calls, if they said no to me, I really didn't care, okay? Not that I recommend doing that, but you know, I didn't have any other choice except to make those calls. And I was like, this is brutal. These are old leads and it's like calling the yellow pages, but I'm gonna do it anyway, okay? So you can be successful at anything that you want to be successful at. You just have to be willing to put in the work and the time, and most people aren't. That's why the agents that we coach and mentor and these big agencies that we work with, we help train their agents and say, look, if you want to do this, you can, but it's a choice. You have to determine if you want to actually do this and become successful. And if you are going to do this and become successful, there's different avenues. Do you want to sell home and auto insurance? Do you want to sell life insurance? You want to sell annuities, long-term care? What do you want to do? Maybe try a little bit of both or all of them to see what you want to do. And the same principles apply for real estate. If you're going to make it big in real estate, you got to be making, over 100 calls a week at minimum. You got to be out there networking and talking to people, rubbing elbows, building your name, your brand, your credibility. That's the other thing that people don't do. They don't take their name serious. I'm a big firm believer that you should own your own name in the domain and brand your name. You can have a company too, but brand your name. People remember working with you.